So on our mirror here, we're going to be working on putting on our top and bottom shelf. And the way that we're actually going to do it is we put our top one on first, and then we put our bottom one up to it. The bottom one's not really a shelf as much as it is a piece of trim. The top one is a shelf. So our top shelf here calls for a piece of wood that's overall length is 24 inches and overall width is 5.5 inches. So we want to find a board that's going to be at least 5.5 inches. Realistically, 5 5/8, 5 3/4 we could probably make work. And we want to cut it at 24.5 inches so that we can true it up later. So we went ahead and we've already picked out a few pieces of wood. And for this particular class, since we run so many kids through here, we already have a pattern made up so that we don't have to use a compass or a homemade type deal. This should just put it on the board and we're good. And this is also a handy tool to have for when we pick out our piece of wood. And I'm going to show you why here in 1 second. Save time. So we've got a board over here, and somebody probably spit some gum on the floor and the board wound up laying in it. And the guy that was wanting to use this was saying, man, why couldn't it be in a different area? Well, here's the thing. This particular board does only needs to be 5.5 inches here in just a small area. We're going to cut out some other parts of it. So oftentimes when we are picking out a piece of wood, some of the stuff can be cut out. Now, are we going to be able to cut that knot out? No, it's too close, right? So that there's not a good spot to have it. We'll look down here. And if it's tight down here, we'll look at it there. We're going to cut all that glue or chewing gum right out of it, right? So we're in pretty good shape. So we know that we want to cut our 24.5-inch piece from here to here. So we're going to take it, we're going to go like this. We're going to measure out what length? What do you think? And 24.5, yeah, because our finished length is 24, right? We want to have just enough where we can true it up later. And make sure we have our glasses on. We want this piece, right? Yep. So we're going to keep this piece, all right, on that side of the blade. So our line happens to be on this side of the blade, which is good, because if it was on this side, it'd be a blade's width shorter. So we want to make sure we keep it nice and tight to the back, the arm. Cut it nice and slow. I'm actually going to move this in a little bit so it doesn't fall off. Double check it. Let it come to a complete stop. Now, we knew that when we go to work this piece right here, we want to cut this here out, right? So I'm going to joint this side down here. Would you agree with that? All right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you actually join it. So why don't you come over here? We're going to clean this off. There we go. Got that side there down. All right, we'll move the camera over here. Swimwear. Did you get it all in one shot or no? Alright, once more looks like. Alright, so when we cut back into this video here next time, time we're going to go ahead, we're going to rip it down, get it cut down to our final length, and we'll wind up putting our pattern on. So we're in great shape. So we're going to go ahead and rip this board here down to 5.5 inches, which is what our final width's going to be. We have the jointed edge right here. That's going to go up against our fence. We have to set it 5.5 inches, and we're going to set it so it's about a quarter or so above the top. At 5.5, you want to come on over here, you can run it down through. We have a push stick already over here waiting for you. We'll put our guard down, and I'll hold this right here. Right, beautiful. So what do you say we go ahead and cut this thing down to our final length? All right, so we're getting ready to cut this bad boy down to our final 24 inches. And do you think that we're going to need to take a little bit off that side? Why do you think so?
Just to even it up.
True it up is the way I would say it, yes. And how much do you think we actually need to take off that side?
I would say a blade length, no more, no less.
Yep, blade's width is correct. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here, and you're going to wind up taking your saw, bringing it right here. You'll take a blade's width off to make it nice and true. Once it's nice and true, we have this set up for your 24-inch piece. You carefully bring it down to your stop. You then hold it with your right hand, and you will cut it with your left hand. Come on over here. Get that set up for a blade's width. Nice and careful when you bring it down here. And we hold it with our right hand, cut it with our left. All right, beautiful. So when we cut back into this video, we'll go ahead and draw our pattern on there. We'll go ahead and cut it out. So on our top shelf of our bottom set of shelves, on your guys' particular project, you guys have cut this down to 24 inches. Yours was already ripped down. Mine's not. Mine actually happens to have a little booger on this side. I know that I'm going to be all right because we're going to round this over, so I'm not too concerned with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out using the bandsaw, and we're going to cut this out. I'm probably going to run mine right out the edge like this, and then turn it around, come the other way. And if we leave our line and a blade's width, roughly, we can just go right over to the disc sander later on, and we can carefully disc sand this down to a nice curve. And that'll be nice and easy. We won't have to do any filing. We go right over to our router, and we'll route this on both sides because it calls for a full round over. So we're going to go ahead and carefully cut this. Now that's at a complete stop. Take a look at it. And we can see my line the entire way. Some spots I'm a little bit closer, some spots I'm a little bit farther away. The most important thing is that we can see our line the entire way. Now I can easily go right over to the disc sander, and we'll carefully disc sand this right down. We're going to cut in and show you that here in 1 second. Over here at the disc sander, we know that on this particular disc sander right here, this disc sander is turning in the clockwise direction, which means this disc is being forced down in to the table on this side. So we're going to concentrate excuse me, our efforts from the center here to our right hand side. If we went on this side, it'd be lifting it up, and that's not what we want to do. So we're going to carefully get it down to our line, and then we're going to kind of give it a nice smooth transition here right towards the end. We are not going to sand here, here, or here. Just this curve, that's all we're going to do. It's up, running, nice and complete. We're just going to barely press it into it. I believe this is 60 grit paper. Pretty aggressive. Take a look. We're very close to our line, almost the whole way. There's a few spots, especially right here. I'm a little bit farther away, so we're going to concentrate on that. Remember, we're going very lightly pressing. What we don't want to do is go in little increments. We kind of want to keep it moving, especially at the very end. Go ahead and clean this off real quick. Get a little bit gummed up. We're going to kind of give it our last little run through here. Try to do it one smooth. Feel this. That feels fantastic. We take a look. There's no saw marks. There's no spots where we touch the abrasive disc. It's just smooth the entire way down through. It's beautiful. We can see my little imperfection right here, and I know that we're going to route that out later, so I am not concerned with that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to sand this side here and this side here. We're going to start at 120, get it down nice and good. Since this happens to be a piece of red oak, we're going to go ahead and sand this down. Give that bell a chance. We're going to go ahead and sand this down to our finished grit of 150. If this was, let's say, some of the other projects are beach, we would take those to 220. We want to sand all this here before we go ahead and route it. We're going to be in fantastic shape. So we've got our top bottom shelf successfully cut out. Ran through the disc sander. We've got a nice radius here. This is the one that measures 5.5 by 24. And on our instruction manual, it calls for this to be a 1/2-inch bit set at a height of 5/16 above the table. We don't have any good 1/2-inch bits, so we're going to use a 3/8-inch bit, and we set it at 3/8. So we're going to take and round this thing over the whole way. It'll be fully rounded. It's not a big deal. It's a little bit more aggressive of a round over than light. When we do this here, we're going to wind up doing this like so. Remember, we need to run this in and run it down in this direction. So when we go to do this is going to want to kick back on me. You're going to see I'm holding this good here, I'm holding this good here. We're going to go in and we're going to be able to get it started and run it this way. We'll then wind up grabbing it here, coming all the way down here now through when we get right here, carefully, especially on our end because we don't want to have a lot of blowout on the back side right here. So we're going to give it a whirl here. Now the only negative side of going a little bit slower to not get that blowout on the back is we're going to get a little bit of a burn in our project. And this will sand out with a little bit of hard work, but it's kind of one of those things we're just going to have to go with. I'm going to let the student whose project this is do it here next. Right there. Remember, you really got to hold it because you're going to want to bite when you go to put it in, right? So if I was you, I would hold it with are you left or right hand? Okay. I'd hold this like this, and your right hand over here. That way, it's going to want to come this way. All right? Pretty nice. Sometimes what we'll do is on these pieces right here, we can run them through, and sometimes we get lucky to take off just a little bit of that burn that's on there. I'm going to try that on this one over here real quick. So we got nice and lucky there and it was able to take off just that last little bit of burn that's in there. If we take a look right here, this really isn't too much of a burn, and it's kind of coinciding with our grain. This may or may not come out when we sand it. This is a very easy piece to sand. We'll lock it in our vise, a nice piece of 120 grit. Sand this down, sand this down. Same thing here and down. How would we sand this right here? Yeah, a nice block sander with some 120. Same on this side here. Since this is oak, where are you going to stop sanding if you're finishing sanding good on this? Yeah, 150. Pretty easy to do. All right. That's all there is to it, and that's the last part for this show.